This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 2, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, I am here. Circus Sports, fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Our closer, Jensen, was back home in the land, Cleveland, Ohio. Always love talking baseball, as we do each and every day here on the program. And we always love catching up with our guy, Josh Inglis, who joins us now from covers.com. You can follow him on X, as I do, at covers_Josh. And joins us again on the Progressive Guest Line. Josh, I got to ask you, because Jensen and I talked a little bit about it before we get to your plays that you like today on a getaway day. North of the border, now that you got Vladdy in tow, you get a nice win yesterday in Boston. You look up, they're in first place in the AL East. I know it's early. Could this team potentially have some staying power in the AL East?
I think we owe a lot to Pete Walker right now, honestly. And we've said his name since the Robbie Ray days. It's insane how good this staff has been. You throw guys like Easton Lucas out there, who battles left-handed versus Garrett Crochet. Incredible. Get the win. There's a lot to like, and that team basically right now is humming because of that rotation. You don't even need Kevin Gausman to be that great, and I'll get to him in a bit. His K stuff's down, but people are stepping up. You got guys like George Springer with no pressure, moving up the order, 4-hole, leading baseball in average. He's crushing the ball. There's obviously some holes in the bottom of that lineup, but I think everybody, maybe outside of Boston, has issues like that. It's going to be a tough run in that division as we see it, but it's such an advantage to have that rotation right now in the AL East when we're seeing other teams struggle without one.
Yeah, Josh, second fewest runs allowed in the American League East here for the Blue Jays. The offense still waiting for kind of that breakout scenario, and hopefully that does come now that we know Vladdy Jr. going to be there for at least the next decade or so in a Blue Jay uniform. Let's stay right there, because I know you've got a couple of plays for the Red Sox and for the Blue Jays, and you're focused on both the starting pitchers today. What do you have?
Tanner Houck's interesting because Alex Cora really doesn't like to see him third time through the order. And I know everybody's numbers kind of go up in third time through the order, but when it's on the broadcast, and in his last start, it opened at 17.5, closed at 16.5. And he was kind of going, and he kind of got the early hook somewhere in that 80 to 85 pitch range. And when it's brought out by the broadcast saying Alex Cora doesn't really want to see him third time through the order, he saw 19 batters, then it's kind of something you circle and try to get back to the following week. So 16.5, slight adjustment. It could drop. I got the -110 right now, under 16.5. This is just kind of a spot where the numbers don't lie. 558 OPS first time, 678 OPS second time, and then an 844 OPS second time. Sometimes managers just like to do too much in their job, and maybe they're right. I'm sure as a starting pitcher, they don't want to see that, but in a competitive AL East, every game matters. So they're going to go to the bullpen. Toronto, putting up 6, putting up 7 versus Crochet is impressive, just on the under 16.5 outs. And it's not against the skill set. It's just in leash.
And again, same game, other bump here. Kevin Gausman, you mentioned him off the top here. Maybe not the same guy these days that we've seen in years past.
It's not the same guy, but you know it. You watch him, when guys spit on that splitter, they're like, okay, they see it. There's games where it's okay, they don't see it well, and they're just swinging over top of it. But it's just, he's so heavy on that pitch, he can't get through right now when guys are just sitting on it. And it takes an inning to find out if they're on it or they're not on it. And this is a Boston lineup that has seen him a lot. This is Fenway with some winds blowing out. There's lots of pass to the under 5.5 strikeouts, -125. And the thing here is, it's interesting. So a lot of our stuff comes from Derek Carty and his projections, which influence the market substantially. And he loves the Gausman over strikeouts. He always has. So there's a fine line between that projection is going to change the market, and it always does. So it might go up. So the best time to buy this might be later. You're paying 25 cents right now, but his K percentage is down 10% from last year. He just went to New York City Field and had a 0 strikeout performance. He might be at a point in his career where he has to kind of shape the way he pitches and not strike out 8 batters a game. Boston, 8 hits yesterday, 1 walk, 1 run. Duran, Devers, Bregman, Story, Campbell, and don't forget about Willie Abreu versus righties. That is about as dangerous 1 through 6 in baseball right now. And looking back over his last 15 starts, this is a Kevin Gausman who has gone over this number just 3 times. So that's kind of standing out.
Yeah, you target a couple of bats in that Red Sox lineup with their history against Gausman. You mentioned Devers and Duran. How about Devers? He's got 6 extra base hits, 5 doubles, a homer. Duran also 5 doubles and a homer, both hitting over 300 against Gausman in their career. Speaking of pitchers,
they had that Tuesday day off after his strikeout run. Right. And then boom, I was on it. I was waiting for him to play. I'm like, 2 strikeout day. And it's just a turning point. So he got his head straight and 1-2 with Duran right now. That's a scary lineup. And then Campbell just keeps slowly working his way up that order. There's a lot to like in that Boston lineup.
No question about it. Speaking of lineups that have probably surprised so far, that's the Detroit Tigers, and seeing guys like Spencer Torkelson come out quite quickly. They've got a stiff test here. Again, really cold conditions. Not only we saw it at Fenway yesterday, we saw it in Cleveland, in Detroit, and the Yankees playing a day game yesterday. It'll be Max Fried and Jack Flaherty in that one. Josh, you're targeting Max Fried and perhaps that Detroit offense to stay hot.
There were some dingers yesterday in that Detroit game, despite Jazz Chisholm wearing maybe 13 layers. There was a lot. I've never seen someone complain about that strike the other day that was middle, and started walking to first. You're like, this at bat's done. You're done here. Jazz should have taken the veteran move like Bellinger yesterday. 8 wings, said they hurt your stomach so he didn't have to face Tariq Skubal. That was a smart move from Belly for sure. But this is just a small number. Max Fried over 1.5 earned runs, paying 20 cents on it. Like I said, it's a pretty small number. Fried's given up 16 hits and walks over his first 10 innings, so it's not like he's dominating. And the one thing I like about it, and I'm more of a volume, try to base pitch count and volume is more important than actual skill set. 95 plus pitches is where we've seen them let Max Fried go. You listen to the sound of the bat off like a Carlos Carrasco pitch, and that's kind of the state of where this Yankees rotation is. I talked about the Jays rotation and how much of an advantage it is right now in that division. The Yankees need Max Fried to get some innings. And I know it's cold, but we saw some home runs. And I think this is just, I like this almost versus any matchup. I mean, yes, it's 40 degrees, but 1.5 earned runs for a guy who's walking some people, giving up hits. I think this can be done in 4 or 5 innings, but he should hopefully get 6. So let him run.
We know in just about 4 hours from now, we're going to have first pitch in Pittsburgh to begin the action today in Major League Baseball. The Cardinals still in town. Nice win yesterday over Paul Skeens. And we talked about that getaway day here on a Wednesday, trying to get out of Dodge. That's why it's so early in Pittsburgh today. What do you make of this game? And you think we might get some runs there? Total sitting at 7.5, juice to the over. I'm seeing $1.25 here on DraftKings.
Yeah, so the market's going up. I got the 15, over 7.5 at the -115. And as a bettor, this is the one where I'm going to look 4 o'clock, be like, man, they just gave away at bats in that game. They just wanted to leave. The umpire's strike zone maybe was a little bigger. But everything I like about this game is the over 7.5. Both pitchers, I think, can give up a ton in Fetty and Keller. There's a lot of good history with Lars Nootbaar and Wilson and Contreras there. Have crushed Mitch Keller. I know Contreras had a day off, so hopefully he can get his head straight. Nootbaar had the day off, so he'll be rested. Neither bullpen in the top 20. Everything's kind of going. St. Louis hasn't hit an under yet. They're 9-0-2 to the over. I know it's nice, but it's that same day. This will put the getaway game to the test and see where those at-bats are. The one thing I do like is that Lars Nootbaar did rest yesterday, so it won't be like, okay, vets, you get the day off. So the top of that order is really important to get this over 7.5. But two-way scoring, St. Louis is giving it up. So let's see. Put it to the test today.
Love it. Wilson Contreras and Lars Nootbaar. Contreras 368, Nootbaar a clean 400 in their careers against Mitch Keller. Finally, and again, when this is beautiful stuff here in April, as I've told Dave here, Josh, that April's overreaction month, both positively and negatively. If I would have told you that the Angels and the Rays, the Angels have had the worst winning percentage against the Rays of any opponent since 2021. It's, I think the Rays winning percentage over 700. Of course, the Rays lose yesterday. They have the tying run at third with less than 2 outs. Can't get it done against Kenley Jansen. You got a guy in Logan O'Hoppe who last year got started so well, had the injury and derailed what could have been a real breakout season. But you like him in this matchup against Ryan Pepio and the Rays down there in Tampa today.
Yeah, and this is a market where I'm not going total bases. I'm going to go over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs with maybe Trout in front of him. He projects Trout. I mean, you can get every day. You can get Mike Trout over 1.5 total bases at plus 105. It's kind of one of those things where you wake up and you're like, okay, where are the big dogs for prices? Because there is some value on that. But this is a play on price and a play on opportunities. Hitting out of the 5 hole, so lots of RBI opportunities. And Pepio is a guy who sometimes can dominate. And that's the scary part here. But he projects well in this spot, but he's also a pitcher who can go just 5 flat innings. So maybe a little work versus this bullpen. He's hitting 385 versus right-handed pitching and slugging 1,000 versus left-handed pitching. Ohapi really derailed from that injury, but anytime at the beginning of the season when he's been healthy, he's looked like one of the best power hitter catchers that we kind of seen. And I think he's a real big piece of this Angels offense going forward. But 1.5 plus 140. I think the buys to like plus 125 plus money for a hit and RBI, maybe with Trout on base, could work today.
It's just so nice to talk baseball on a daily basis again here and break it down each and every day. Josh, we appreciate your time as always. Enjoy getaway day, and I'll be watching that Cardinal total here. I think I'm going to be on you with that 7.5 over as well. So again, check him out on X. Josh_Inglis does a great job at covers. We've got a special right here at VSiN. Right now through August 1st, it's $59. That's it. And again, this is a pretty darn good summer special because it's 50% off the regular price right now through August 1st. So that's going to cover you for the NFL draft, obviously the Major League Baseball season, NBA playoffs, and hockey as well. VSiN.com/subscribe to become part of our team here as a VSiN Pro subscriber. Let's get back to Augusta. That's next here at VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Great conversation. Josh Inglis in the last segment talking Major League Baseball on Getaway Day. We're going to have JD, Jonathan Davis, going to join us in the next segment to get us all covered on what's going to happen on the ice tonight and into the second season. Can't wait for that, and the NBA playoffs as well. And, of course, we're going to have Wes Reynolds here on in hour number 3. And Eric Hedholm is going to join us as well. Always love catching up with E as he breaks down the NFL draft. So it'll be a great conversation with Eric as well. So we got you covered every way. It's not just about Augusta. But you know we have to ask that question, is this news or a whole lot of noise?
Is it news?
Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news in media.
Or just noise?
Are you going to act like this is news? Just noise.
Let's separate the impactful from the insignificant with one simple question. News or noise?
I mentioned it off the top of the show. If you're a golf geek, Tuesdays for non-action is as good as it gets. Everybody's there at Augusta. The golf world really converges right there in your tiny little town in Georgia. And the media, you've got your day. You get to talk to the players, kind of get a feel for them. They're out there in the practice range. You got the Champions Dinner last night, of course, hosted by Scotty Chef, where Rory, he's defending these controversial comments that we've seen now in the last couple of weeks and months here in the PGA Tour. Kyle Morikawa after the Arnold Palmer when he kind of fell apart. And basically, Rory came out and defended Colin's stance that, yeah, we don't owe you guys anything. We don't have to talk to you. So here's Rory explaining Colin's explanation.
Look, every other athlete, whether it be in the NBA, NFL, they're obligated to speak to you guys after a game. We're not. So, you know, whether that's something that the PGA Tour looks to in terms of putting that into their rules and regulations. But as long as that's not the case, and we have that option to opt out whenever we want, expect guys to do that.
Expect guys to do that. Opting out, Jensen. I don't have to talk to you because by the letter of the law, Rory's right. They are not obligated to speak. You know this, and I know this, certainly being in clubhouses and locker rooms. You guys in the clubhouse, you can figure out ways to get around it if you don't want to talk to the media, right? But what do you make of that point by Rory that it's basically challenging the PGA Tour? That if you want us and make it an obligation, then we can put that in a contract, which, by the way, they're independent contractors. They don't have a contract like you guys did. What was the fine line there in Cleveland or Major League Baseball in general of what you had to do versus the right thing to do?
Oh, well, it's part of the uniform player contract. That's collectively bargained, as far as I remember. So that's part of the gig here when you sign up. And so I appreciate the opinion, and Rory has every right to that. You cannot have your cake and eat it too, Dave. I'm sorry. We live in a day and age in which a lot of people consume, their opinions through sports writers or beat writers or things, and that is one avenue to look at it. So if Rory and those guys want to take the time on social media to come out and put the opposite side of it, they're more absolutely empowered to do that. I look at the flip side. Let's say Rory wins this week. Of course he's going to talk to the media, right? Like, tell me where this evens out, where, okay, we're not obligated, but I want you to talk about me when I win. Why am I not being said? Again, this is where I draw the line. It's not hard to do.
No.
When, you have access and you give access. Like, I'm sure there's times, I'll take Scotty. There's probably been times where in the last handful of weeks where Scotty knows he hasn't played well. What has he done? He's answered the questions. It may not be a long press conference, Dave, but he's answered them, period. Tiger, there's been plenty of times where Tiger probably was like, forget it. But Tiger knew he had the weight of the sport on him. And I think he took that responsibility much more seriously than, Collin Morikawa is never going to be the face of golf the way he has this attitude. It'll never happen. Rory's teetering because he also has that backdrop of he chokes when the majors are up here recently. And if you want to ascend anywhere close to that Tiger realm or that Scotty realm for that matter, you better have a good image. You better be great with the media. And so because you're a private contractor, because, you guys are in the same foxhole, but not necessarily on the same team, some of these guys are going to have some trepidation, if they continue to be like, oh, I'm not contractually obligated. Okay, dude, well, you're walking the plank as far as your image goes.
I got to tell you, like, I don't have him in pocket yet. We're going to get to your picks here in a second. But, like, Colin is one of those guys that I think should have a really big week this week. And then when I hear him in the media session yesterday, basically double down. He did double down and said, I stand by my words. When he could have just put a cold kibosh in this, and it's a non-story. Like, you're going into the biggest tournament, certainly of the year, if you're Collin Morikawa and Rory, to complete the career Grand Slam. As I mentioned, only 5 guys in the history of golf have done it, and this is the questions that are coming at you because you guys haven't put this to bed. It just seems unnecessary. Like, I'm with you. It's easy. This is like you're blowing the bunny. You're missing the layup. They're giving you an easy one to say, you know what? Hindsight, Rory, I should have spoke after I lost to Bryson last year at the U.S. Open. My bad. I was really upset about it, and I should have done it. Everybody go, okay, we get it. Colin, you lose at the Arnold Palmer. Russell Henley runs you down. You were upset about that. We all saw it, right? Maybe I just should have said, hey, I'm not really feeling like talking right now. And that could have been the conversation. This would be a non-story. But yet we're still talking about it because it's not being put to bed by the people that should just all you have to do is take 5 seconds and say, yeah, maybe in hindsight, I should have done that. Does it affect your picks this week at all, specifically with Colin and or Rory?
It doesn't with Colin because when it gets down to brass tacks, you got to go with your head instead of your heart.
Right.
And I think Colin is more motivated now to be like, I told you so.
Yeah.
And that's what I took out of the double down. So as we get to my picks, Dave, of course, Colin was a big part of it. I have him as a favorite for outright. I have him as a favorite for top 5 and also for top 10. I've basically laddered him throughout all the markets. And again, Augusta rewards precision. Morikawa's iron play is tailor-made for it. We talked with Rex Hogard. He said it's a second shot course. It always has been. And so hard pressed for me to not look at him in his recent form too. I mean, at the Arnold, he was number 1 or tied for 3rd, right? But also over the past year, number 1 in strokes gained as far as approach goes. And so that was a huge one. Hideki course history. And I do feel that's a pretty big bargain. So I rebet him. I had him at 22-1. I rebet him at 30-1. And also took some value there on the top 5 market, including ties there at DraftKings. again, you feel that for someone who has every opportunity to be methodical through the tight fairways and the tricky greens, the guy has experience. He's won here before. 4 top 5s, 5 top 20s in his last 7 starts. Woo. Absolutely got to have shares of that. We get to the dark horses here. Russ Henley, doesn't have the star power, but the short game finesse, does not hurt himself with mistakes. He could contend late. It is a little bit more leap of faith, but I would love to have some shares at that price. Same thing with Cam Smith. He's proven he can win here. We're still figuring out where the live guys kind of get handicapped because we haven't really seen him on courses like this.
You're getting some discounted prices. I love your Cam Smith at 60-1.
Yep, 4 top 10s and 7 starts at Augusta. So that's kind of where I'm at from the outrights and some of the top 5 and top 10 markets.
I like it. And again, I love your Russell Henley pick. Like, this is a bulldog, and talking with some of my guys back home in Virginia Beach, they're doing some golf drafts. They're asking us about Russell Henley, and we're like, that's a good horse for the course here. And again, maybe it's something about being home. A guy who's won this year. We talked about it when we ran down Kyle Morikawa at the Arnold Palmer. That's a big boy event. I like that's a good dark horse at 55-1. The interesting one to me is your to make or miss the cut, and it's Bryson DeChambeau at plus 240. This is boom or bust, right? Like, this is the ultimate way that Bryson could, maybe be a first round leader again, maybe contend to win, or sometimes he takes those chances out there where he goes, man, I got to really go for something, and it can get him in trouble.
He's made the cut 5 of 8 times he started at the Masters. But what we go back to what I talked about with Morikawa. Augusta rewards precision. It punishes wayward drives. And if I'm sorry, all I needed to see was him just absolutely. Did you see VJ Singh watching him on the driving range?
Yeah. And that's an older video, but yes, that is exactly right. These guys marvel at Bryson's speed drill, right? Where he's doing the speed drill and give me the ball. It's like Tin Cup, right? And then he's just whacking balls back and forth. And you're like, who is this freak show? But it's a good point and that's why I know that guys like on the Golf Channel yesterday, where Brandon Chambly's like, no, I do not fancy his chances because it's just what you said, Jensen. He's going to take some unnecessary risks. He's going to hit it all over the lot. And at some point, that normally is not a recipe for success around Augusta National. Much more golf talk here. But again, if you want to bet not just golf, how about the ponies? Take your betting to the next level with First Bet, whether it's Santa Anita, Gulfstream Park, or the road to the Kentucky Derby. In the Preakness, First Bet's got all the action you need at your fingertips. Bet it now. The #1 stbet.com. Use a promo code VSiN200. Score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days, up to $200.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. We have so much going on in the world of sports. Obviously, getting ready for Augusta National, UFC 314, Major League Baseball in full swing, the NBA coming down to the nitty gritty, and also in the NHL as well. We leave no stone unturned here. Always love talking puck with our guy, Jonathan Davis. Does a great job here on VSiN, of course. Joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Give him a follow on X as I do at West Coast Hockey. That's HKY to round that out. JD, great to have you on. As we near the end of the regular season here in hockey, we've seen chaos in the NBA. Firing of coaches right before you get to it. This doesn't happen in hockey very often, right? Like, do we ever see those like teams in contention and all of a sudden a week before the end of the regular season, we say goodbye to coaches? Do you remember that ever in hockey?
I wouldn't say a week, but I do remember, I think the New Jersey Devils fired their head coach late in the season when they were well in playoff contention. But it is a rarity in the NHL that we see something like what's going on in the NBA. Yeah, that's been just, well, that's just been crazy. I don't want to use the word that first came to mind, but that's been just crazy.
JD, I'll tell you what's crazy right now is looking at how some of these standings are going to end up. We know we've got a few playoff positions to finalize here with a handful of games remaining. But first game we can tackle with you, Flyers and Rangers. All right. And kind of looking where the Rangers are. This has been a disappointing season to say the least. They've kind of been leaking oil here their last 10. But it's the Flyers and their team total that you're taking a look at. How do you have that handicap for us?
Well, this is more play against the Rangers. I mean, the Flyers definitely have the ability to score. The Rangers, though, have given up 3 goals or more in 8 of their last 10. They're a mess right now. And, things got so bad in their last game. I mean, it's not uncommon for an NHL coach not to go into the locker room after a loss. But the words from Peter Laviolette after the game to the media, you can tell, I mean, he's lost. And so I do. I like Philadelphia tonight, over 2.5 goals. So you get that at right around plus money. I think it's a good value play on the Flyers. And tonight for hockey fans, if you're not aware, it's a big night. TNT is doing the game. Sam Rosen, the longtime broadcaster of the Rangers, is retiring at the end of the year. And his old broadcast partner, John Davidson, who is now works for the president for the Columbus Blue Jackets, will be doing the game with Sam on TNT. I think it's a great touch by the boys over at TNT.
That's as good as it gets. Sam Rosen, absolute legend, as you well know, JD. It has not been a season to remember for San Jose. That is for sure. We know that. Only 20 wins, the least amount of wins here in the entire NHL. Is there a fade spot that you look? Is it kind of like this is kind of mailing this thing in down the stretch?
No, I think the Sharks continue to play hard. They're just, they're a little bit challenged talent-wise. Their goaltending is subpar. Their blue line is subpar. My original plan for this game was to target San Jose team total under 2.5, but it's just way too pricey at $1.75. If you can find a way to parlay that with something, though, it doesn't have to be a hockey game. Find your favorite baseball game to help bring that number down. I would do it. But on its own, I'm not paying that kind of juice at minus 175. But I would try to find a parlay piece if you can.
All right, JD, the Atlantic Division title still in doubt here, and we get a gem of a matchup here late in the regular season between Toronto and Tampa Bay. You like the lamp to be lit early and often tonight. What's your handicap on the total?
Well, I like the over 5.5. It's at about $1.35. 8 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams have gone over the total. Toronto's on the back end of a back-to-back. They, not that they had long travel from Sunrise, Florida to Tampa, but I think it's a good spot. Again, history tells you goals will be scored in this game. I'll look at over 5.5. If it gets to 6, I would lay off, even though like I said, 8 of the last 10 have had pretty much 7 or more, but 5.5, I can't pass it up.
JD, I'm going to ask you this. I think I've asked you this the last couple of years, too, about this time of the year when it comes to Toronto, okay? So not tonight was standing, like we talk about it in the world of sports, like for Cowboy fans in the NHL, in the NFL, certainly for Yankee fans. What about the Leafs' chances this year of bringing home the cup? Is this a year they should be excited north of the border?
Well, they should be more excited than they have been in years past. I was having a conversation about this with a bunch of my friends last night. I mean, they're better positioned. Their roster is better. But look, for me, at the end of the day, the two things that hold Toronto back are their two best players, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. And why I say that, guys, is that for me, both those guys, they like to win. Jensen, you can identify with this being in a Major League Baseball locker room. They don't hate to lose, in my opinion. Ooh. And until you hate to lose, you're never going to win.
I think it's a perfect analogy, and well said by you, JD. Let me ask you one other question on the futures board. I'd like to do this exercise with Dave. Obviously we have the Masters coming up this weekend. I told you about my Capitals ticket in pocket. As you look at where the board currently is to win the Stanley Cup, or even I'll give you a conference final to get through and represent either the East or the West, a team that you like on the futures board right now, where they're currently positioned, who do you like and why?
Well, look, I like the Golden Knights because I just think that their roster is deep. They have the components. Look, they don't have the elite goaltender, but Adin Hill's won before, and he doesn't have to be the guy. So I do like Vegas. Dallas is that game last night in Dallas is they've been in a bad run since the trade deadline. I mean, for the first time in NHL history, we saw a team blow a 3-goal lead in the final minute of a game and end up losing. Like, if you had Dallas in any way, money line, regulation, puck line, I mean, I forget who. I don't want to steal the line from somebody, but the line is, I mean, that's a whiskey and revolver game last night. You know, it was a killer. So, it's been very concerning. I would say if you want to take a long shot, the Los Angeles Kings at 20-1 are worth a long shot. They're playing playoff hockey. They've been doing it all year. They've got a goaltender that's been one of the best, especially at home. He's been really good. He's been beatable on the road. But at 20-1 right now, and if you even want to go look, Ottawa and St. Louis, 35 and 40-1. The one concern I have, and I'm going to be putting this out when I do my playoff preview, I think since 2009, guys, if you have not drafted yourself the number 1 or number 2 pick overall, we've only had two teams have won the cup that haven't had the first or second overall pick drafted by their own team. Vegas won the cup with Jack Eichel. He was drafted first overall by the Buffalo Sabres. The St. Louis Blues, when they won the cup, did not have a first or second overall pick. So that's something. It's been pretty interesting. The Blues still don't have a first overall pick, and I try to remember now if Ottawa. I think Ottawa does. I have to go back and take a look. But Ottawa and St. Louis, you want to go far down the board? They're built. I think both those teams are built to win a cup.
We saw the Caps sitting there at about 11-1. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the achievement of Alexander the Great in Washington, D.C., breaking the Great One's record here. What did you make of it? And now it almost seems perfect for the Caps. You kind of get it done before you get to the end of the regular season. I heard Ted Leonsis speak to the guys afterward and, saying, hey, you got not bigger fish to fry. This is as big as it gets in the world of hockey. But what about that accomplishment and now turning the page to the second season in D.C.?
Turning the page is a big thing because I think that the Ovechkin chase was really weighing on this team, guys. They got out of playing, really structured, disciplined hockey because everything was about getting Ovechkin the goal. Their propensity to give up 3 goals or more, I've talked about it before. I think it's now 8 straight games. They had a run like that, a couple of weeks ago as well. So they need to go back to tightening things up. Because they're not playing playoff hockey. They haven't done it for a while. Yep. But what Alex has done, the greatest goal scorer ever, but that's what he is. He's the greatest goal scorer ever.
Absolutely amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, last one. I know you got a Flames Ducks under here that you like, and also just where you see kind of that playoff first round. Anyone we can kind of circle, be like, we got to watch this series, potential upset.
Okay, so first the Flames Ducks. Love the under here. Calgary's 19-4 to the under in their division. The Anaheim Ducks are 19-9 to the under after a win this year. So love the under in that one. First round, I mean, look, there's still a lot of questions, especially in the West. We don't know who's, where St. Louis and Minnesota fit. I still can't get on board with Winnipeg because until Connor Hellebuck does it. You got to show me first before I can be confident in you. And, for our fans, look, me, a guy who was born in Montreal, raised in Toronto, hates the Maple Leafs. I would love to see Ottawa play Toronto in the first round and upset the Maple Leafs.
I love it. I love the fandom when it comes out, JD, because I'm guilty of that all the time in the NFL and beyond. We appreciate it, the time, and we always look forward to our conversations. Next week, we'll be talking playoff puck. Can't wait for that. When we come back, much more to get to. We're going to figure out whether or not we got some issues in Augusta. We'll discuss next here on VSiN By The Books.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
Great conversation with Jonathan Davis in the last segment, talking puck as we get ready for the playoffs in the second season of the NHL. It is kind of the playoffs, if you will. Yeah, we have a golf playoff, the FedEx Cup playoffs, and the first of the 4 majors is going to begin tomorrow down there at Augusta National. So without further ado, it's time for this hour's highlights and headlines.
Help your bottom line with today's highlights and headlines.
I talked about it, Jensen. You get a lot of headlines coming out of Augusta the last couple days here, and certainly Tiger Woods made some noise here. agreeing to partner with Augusta National on Augusta National Golf Club to create a new 9-hole short course there. It's going to be called The Patch. And Tiger, I love this. You see Jack Nicklaus, who designs golf courses all over the world and certainly the United States. And Tiger doing this with Augusta so people can come to Augusta all year round. And if you can't play because you got to get an invite to play there, maybe you can check out The Patch. I think this is kind of cool in Tiger's way of, hey, again, nobody's going to be able to wear that green jacket. If you don't know a member, you're not going to be able to play this course, but at least you can play The Patch right here on the grounds of Augusta National.
Yeah, so it will be named The Loop at the Augusta Municipal Golf Course, and that for the locals is commonly known, as you referred to, The Patch. 5 miles south of Augusta National, on a street recently renamed Jim Dent Way, which honors the former PGA Tour pro and Augusta native. So that's pretty neat. Basically 9-hole par 3 course, and it's intended to complement the existing 18-hole Muni course being redesigned by architects Tom Fazio and Bo Welling here. So pretty neat. Also in conjunction with the TGR Learning Lab. For people that don't know that, that's part of the TGR Foundation. They will partner with Augusta National. That will be the 4th TGR Learning Lab. And it focuses on STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math education. How does it all factor in here? More people coming in, more attention down there, and that is the big component to it.
There's a golf course back in my old stomping grounds in the DMV area called Renditions. And basically the idea of that was to take some of the world's most famous golf holes and put them all on one course here, 18 holes. And again, I love the attempt, right? There's never going to be the original, but I love when they try to do these things so you get a feel for Augusta a little bit here with The Patch. Hey, if I can't ever play the big boy course one day, which is a bucket list thing, then check out The Patch. And I think we will. We know that yesterday is a big day when you have the Champions Dinner, of course, hosted by Scotty Scheffler. That he had cheeseburger sliders and he had a big tomahawk ribeye for the main event, chocolate chip cookies and some ice cream for dessert. And the Champions photo every year is you kind of look at it and you go, man, I want to see who's positioned by whom. And I know social media is running with Phil Mickelson and his look yesterday. Tiger wasn't there. And, you look at the picture and you go, where's Tiger? Now, he did announce that he was not going to be able to be there. If you're watching VSiN.com here with the injury sustained after his Achilles surgery. So he'd said, I'm not going to be there. Remember, he had kind of he had done a video release about the patch that we just mentioned to do that in his green jacket. So it wasn't on the grounds. But, man, like when you see that picture and you see Scotty there in the forefront, obviously, as the host, and then you see Jack Nicklaus up there close to Scotty, and you see all these guys from yesteryear that have won this Fable event, all the living members, and not to see Tiger, like Jensen, I hope he's okay, because you kind of go, like, he must really be ailing if he couldn't make that dinner.
No question. That photo brings up a lot of memories of stories I've been told of for Cooperstown in the week of the Hall of Fame inductions and ceremonies, just all the living legends. And for people that have never been, it is such a small town, just like Augusta. And to get in there, like you're talking months and months in advance to try and find the nearest hotels, which are not even within striking distance, if you will, of Cooperstown. So I know we said it yesterday and earlier this week. Imagine the conversations around the table. And I'll throw it at you, Dave. I mean, we all like to play cards in our various sports. What's the poker game like? Some of those guys, it's got to happen. I would love to just be a fly on the wall, seeing what kind of hands are played there between those guys.
I just wonder if there's ever, and again, it was great having Rex Hager down from Golf Channel yesterday talking about how, Gentle Ben Crenshaw is basically, he is the honorary host. If you, I know Scotty is the host, but like Ben runs the event there to make sure everything's good. I'm sure it's a blast. I'm sure it is. But like Phil, I would love to hear the conversations because we know that he's had some issues there with Freddie Couples in the past. He's taken some shots at Scotty Scheffler. I just wonder what those conversations are like in person with some of those guys in the room. And you mentioned it with Sergio Garcia, had famously said he thought Augusta was overrated, and then he wins Augusta. Now he's at that fabled dinner each and every year. It's got to be wild, some of those conversations that take place. By the way, if you have not downloaded the VSiN Watch app, you should do so. You download it on the App Store, get it on Google Play, wherever you are. When you download the Watch app, you're going to have access to all of our programming. You can replay your favorite shows. If you missed this one live on your time, you can check out VSiN By The Books. Big screen streaming, of course, straight to your smart TV. Access all of those clips that you want, tailored by sport, whether it's golf, baseball, you name it. It's all there for you. Watch VSiN anywhere when you download the VSiN Watch app, and you can do so today. So again, back to Augusta here, and we're going to have Wes Reynolds join us here in hour number 3 to get his official picks. If you have not listened to the Long Shots podcast, it's spectacular every week, but this week with Matt Bauer and Kelly Bidwin, it's exceptionally good to get you ready for Augusta National. You can only have one winner, Jensen. We've talked about this a lot in those placement markets that you have out there. And again, not everybody can make the cut too. So with a smaller field like you have at Augusta, and then I don't want to say ceremonial guys, but you saw some of them in the picture, and we saw that Vijay Singh's not going to be able to tee it up this year as a former champion because of his injuries. Obviously, Tiger Woods is not going to be able to go, not even there on the grounds this week. Like, it's going to shorten that field. So I wonder, you do get this real class event with the world's best because we have the live guys there. Some guys are going to miss that cut, man. And I know like guys like Max Homa. Like, do you target certain players that we almost feel like, man, they've just fallen so far off that I'll lay the $1.50, $1.75 price tag at guys to miss the cut at Augusta?
Yeah, it's not a market that I'm actively trying to exploit, if you will. I think the only one was, maybe someone that is in Bryson is going to be at the forefront of it. And it was very black and white for me. He's either going to be right in contention or, as we discussed earlier, at plus 240, I'll take a swing that he doesn't even make the weekend. Speaking of guys that might be long shots, some dark horse placements for me. The lefty, Robert McIntyre, is 7-1 in the top 5. And you think about recent form for him and how the course lays out. I liked him at that odds price, and also in the top 10. Talk about guys that have won before and that were in that photo. You look at Patrick Reed at 4-1 to be in the top 10. The guy everyone loves to hate, but for where he's at in his game, will definitely, and I mean fly under the radar more than probably a lot of past champions that could actually have an opportunity to be within the top 20. So you look at some of these placement markets for the longer odd shots. And of course, as I said, with Russ Henley, Cam Smith, do like Cam Smith also at a top 10 plus 360. And you see the top 5 price there plus 850. A lot of ways to kind of sprinkle here, but you're right. You're looking at who could be, right on that cut line and maybe try and exploit it. I would even go just a step up from that into those top 40 markets and see, okay, if you make the weekend, now you kind of have that, all right, I did it. Now you can kind of go play stress-free and see how far you go.
I'll tell you this. I've got a shorter ticket than's out there currently at DraftKings on Willie Z. Will Zalatoris at 65-1. I really like that price point. I wish I'd waited to get that because my number is much shorter than that. I think he's going to play very well this week. Remember when he burst on the scene here before he had surgery a couple years ago, finished second at this event. And by the way, Phil Mickelson, the lightning rod in that Champions Dinner, and everybody loves to talk about Phil and his picture and his face and his smile and all those things. Finished second here 2 years ago. So I think there's a market out there for low senior. You'd have to lay $1.50 on Phil. Is Freddie Couples going to beat Phil Mickelson this week for low senior? $1.50? If you can find that price point, I'd put my money on lefty on that one for low senior over 50. I think Phil's going to I'd be surprised if Phil didn't make the cut this week. Let's put it that way. I think he's got a much better chance of making the cut than missing it. I know he's about 100-1 here on the outrights to win this thing. Don't know if he can do that, but I'd be surprised if Phil is not around for the weekend. Again, you can get our summer special here at VSiN. It's just $59. It's going to cover you all the way through August 1st. Daily best bets exclusive betting splits, expert analysis, betting systems that are all there for you. VSiN.com/subscribe. $59, and it's a great deal right now that will last you through the summer. When we come back, top of the hour, Eric Edholm is going to join the program. Love to catch up with you. He's breaking down the draft and maybe some monetary values associated with it. That's next year on VSiN By The Books.